All right, let's go to Money in the Bank and let's talk about the grand four matches we have on
Mhm.
this particular card. Starting things off with for the Intercontinental Championship, Lyra Valkyria defending against Becky Lynch. If Becky loses, she can no longer challenge Lyra for the championship. Becky has already lost two times. Oh, sorry, I'm showing the wrong graphic here. Becky has already lost twice to Lyra Valkyria. What do you anticipate the result for this one?
I think this is a shoe-in that Becky wins this match. I'm enjoying these two together. They've been putting on really good matches. The previous one was excellent, and I'm happy to see the feud continue. So I think Lynch wins. She takes the women's IC title, and Lyra is in the chasing role again. And I think all of this is helping Lyra Valkyria sort of her character develop and all the rest of it. And behind the scenes, I'm sure Becky is doing all she can for her friend in that respect as well, because we all know that Becky Lynch, with the infamous Irish dancing and so on, and in her NXT start, she had to struggle as well before she was able to find the man character and all of that. So I think these two are great together, and that's my prediction for the result, at least.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't really see any other result coming out of this. I mean, I think Lyra in this Becky Lynch run has definitely gotten the value that I think we've been looking for from her out of this IC
Yeah.
title run. Like her promos have really stepped up and have been featured as a showcase point over the past several weeks, to the point where like even if she loses the championship now, I think she still leaves this with something new attached to her. Something that I think she can build on without even having the championship, her new voice. So whether or not they continue this feud afterwards, I'm a little bit more doubtful for because
Okay.
that'll have been a lot of these two together. But Lyra will hopefully take enough like sort of skills to like show this company that they can push her even without this championship. And Becky, of course, like with the belt, kind of opens her up for bigger matches, especially as we head towards SummerSlam. All right, let's go to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We've got Stephanie Baker taking on Alexa Bliss, taking on Roxanne Perez, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Julia. I want to get your thoughts on who you think will win, as well as maybe any other sort of notable storyline points.
Um, if they want to inject Alexa Bliss back into the main world title scene,
Hmm.
then I could see a win for her. I want Naomi to win. I think that character
Hmm.
would be absolutely awesome with the Money in the Bank briefcase as well. She'll use it as a weapon, of course. She'll put her caution tape all over it.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
I don't have a cool in the bank caution in the bank. No, I don't have anything
Hmm.
there. But that's who I want to win because I'm loving the Naomi
No,
character at the moment.
yeah, Naomi and nah, doesn't really work. Um, I think those are probably my top candidates as well because I don't really see it being any of the call ups here. Again, they picked a great six to showcase here in
Yep.
three of the NXT call ups. And also Alexa Bliss and Naomi, who still at this point feel very fresh, whether it be due to absence or the debut of a new character. And of course, the biggest star in the entire division in Rhea Ripley. Of the two, I would, it's a hard one to pick. Because are we completely writing off Rhea Ripley's chances?
Well, it's the old adage about money. The Money in the Bank briefcase is better on a heel.
Yeah.
Um, And I think the Rhea character is better served by winning it the hard way. But I wouldn't rule it out. No, I am kind of ruling out the other three, though.
Yeah. I think I'm going with Naomi. I think I'm going with you, I think the gimmick feels right on her. Like she's also been somebody who's been beaten up by Jade so often.
Yeah,
Getting the Money in the Bank briefcase is kind of like this is how they book the Money in the Bank. Well, this is how they book people with the Money in the Bank. They drop the shit out of them,
yeah.
because they eventually end up just cashing in and maybe erasing all of that anyway. I think Naomi is a great option. I can also see it being on a babyface in Alexa Bliss as well.
It's June on the Post Wrestling Cafe. We are going through tons of your questions on the Ask Away mailbag show, and we're bringing you not one, but 2 editions of Rewind Away, including a review of the Katsuyori Shibata documentary, California Dreamin', covering his time as head trainer at the LA Dojo. Plus, Karen and Bruce have you covered for New Japan Dominion. Chris from LA has chosen another musical edition of Rewind Away to join Wei Ting and Nate Milton. Plus, we have extended editions of Rewind to Raw, Rewind to Dynamite, and Rewind to SmackDown coming at you every single week, along with all of your weekly favorites. It's postwrestlingcafe.com.
Let's go to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We got LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, Seth Rollins, and El Grande Americano. Do you have a pick for this one?
It's difficult. I'm kind of ruling out Penta and Andrade and El Grande Americano. So that leaves 3.
Why do you write them?
I know they're still into this Americano storyline, and I feel like they could have fun with him having the case. But I think when they do comedy and Money in the Bank, it doesn't work wonderfully well. Like we saw with Otis, that was a complete flop. So it doesn't mean they won't. I won't rule it out, but I think Rollins is kind of the obvious one. We haven't had Heyman do his, and that's not a spoiler. That's we haven't had him say that. I thought that was coming tonight, and it's more often the case that when he does say that, it's what happens. There's mileage in Solo having it, I guess, because it puts him somewhat above Jacob in the pecking order, but I don't think that storyline really needs it.
Yeah, because he's so tied to Jacob, and Jacob is firmly in the U.S. title level. I don't really see that pairing, unless it's like Solo somehow going for Jay on the other show, which I also don't really see happening because Jay's got so much other stuff happening as well. It's also assuming Jay keeps the championship. Anyway, I don't see the direct path for Solo. I mean, I said on Monday, I felt like El Grande Americano would actually be like a really interesting gimmick to have the briefcase because, I'm curious to see like how he holds it while Chad Gable, also tries to dance around the idea that like he's also the Money in the Bank winner, but that he's not actually being recognized and therefore can't cash it in. I don't know how that would work, but the more I talk about it, the more I think I agree with you. It's hard for me to see like what is ultimately a bit of a comedy gimmick with what I think is a very important device in the company. So does that leave Seth Rollins?
It does, seems to me. But I mean, it's I'm not ruling it out either. I mean, I think they can learn lessons from Otis and his character wasn't really that fleshed out. The fact that they've got this sort of double identity thing going on with Chad Gable, they can get some mileage out of that as long as they don't just, as they say on my side of the Atlantic, as long as they don't rip the piss out of it. In other words, like, as long as they don't string it out so long that everybody gets like tired as hell of it. If they do it for a little while and then have the cash in as the payoff, then by all means. But I think Rollins and Americano in that kind of comedy kind of double identity thing, I could see that. Yeah. Knight as an outsider, as a dark horse.
Yeah. Very possible, I suppose, too. Like the unexpected one that I think Money in the Bank championships, Jey Uso this year for the Rumble was a totally unexpected person. And if I would say very much like LA Knight is sort of on the Jey Uso pre-Royal Rumble level that could really use something like this to really kind of push him into that next level to confirm his status as a main eventer. They're pushing the Rollins win so hard that it almost feels too predictable. And I could see an outside pick in LA Knight coming in and maybe taking it from him. At the same time, I think I'm going with the safe bet in Seth Rollins. We also should mention that, throughout all of this is the Jey Uso story of him being constantly weakened, constantly injured through all of this happening, including the main event we're about to talk about. And we also know how they don't like to have 2 briefcases active for too long. So one of the 2 briefcases has a very strong chance of being cashed in, whether tonight on this particular event or the night after the Gunther match. So the scenario that I could see is Rollins winning this one, maybe teasing on Sunday, but then maybe actively doing it on Monday during the Gunther match to make that a three-way, as he did in that WrestleMania, of course, as a replay of Rollins, what he does. It's just all, I think, very important to kind of, think about when it comes to this particular Money in the Bank. And therefore, I think Seth Rollins winning makes the most sense because you could play out all of those scenarios.
Yeah. And I know we're not taking calls tonight, but Hansi in the chat has said exactly the same as you just said about cashing in during Gunther and Jay. The same idea, which I think would be great. And I like this formula of having a swift cash in with one of the cases, because the endless teases that you get with the other winner wears thin. And if you've got two competitors doing that all the time, the woman and the man, it's just too much.
All right. Lastly, we've got our main. Well, we don't know if it's the main event, but it is the John Cena match on the show. It's Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso taking on John Cena and Logan Paul. Who wins this one, and what are sort of our programs coming out of it?
I'm hoping for something unexpected, something interesting, some interesting booking in this match, rather than just a straightforward tag match. Some sort of return, something unexpected. Maybe R-Truth comes into this.
It's going to be Travis Scott.
God,
come on, he's going to be there. It's LA.
I guess I hadn't thought of him. I'm trying to forget him, to be honest, because after WrestleMania. But you're right. They've got to bring him back, and I guess he'll probably get involved. That doesn't fill me with joy, I have to say. In an ideal world, I'd have Cena take the pin in this match just so that he can. But I don't think they will do that to him at this point.
What are the chances R-Truth shows up?
Yeah.
He's still under contract.
Not zero.
Still under contract, I believe.
He's still under contract, and it's a very swift decision to be made to extend that contract after all.
Yeah.
So a very much a non-zero chance of R-Truth, involvement in this. And then, of course, you'll get everyone on the net saying the entire thing was a work.
Yeah.
Beginning to end. But
I'm curious to see if those chants continue throughout the entire course of the evening here. But I with Cena, I could definitely maybe expect them a little bit louder. Certainly with Logan Paul, because Cody lost at Mania. I think he needs the win. He needs to pin either Logan Paul or maybe even better, pitting John Cena in this tag team scenario to, obviously get him to challenge for the belt, which is what I think the destination we still all see at present. Whether or not that happens at Night of Champions or SummerSlam, I guess will remain to be seen as well. Can you see Logan Paul Jey Uso rematch coming out of this?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. They still got quite a bit of time to fill coming up to SummerSlam, so
yeah, I could see it. I could see it in Saudi, honestly. All right, so those are our matches for Money in the Bank. John Pollock and I will be back tomorrow night after all of it.